can feel the air off of it. And the dust, if I just have that door open for a little while, the dust is definitely there. I'm gonna try that 24-inch pulley, I think. Looks like I have enough room there. Isn't putting much strain on the engine. Just kind of watching that drive mechanism. Living 25 foot at a time, I guess. Got Dad out there, I guess, being a proud dad. Wonder who he's gonna send that video to. It's definitely helping. Definitely wouldn't be without it. But there's definitely some ways we can improve it, so. Alright, back up to the woodchuck infestation. See how it does. Alright. Time to take a walk around this thing and make sure everything is doing its thing. Whoa! Too bad, not too bad for one pass, or rather one round. We're already maybe a third of the way full. start unloading. Back at it. Day 2. As you can see, it's just dustier than dusty out here. Beans are running right around 10%. Which in some ways is good and in some ways is not. That moisture rating, you're losing money every time you cross the scale, because they don't pay a premium for dry beans. They shrink to, what is it, 13 I think is what they shrink to. I.e. anything lower than 13, you're just wasting weight by not having the water there. I think it's 13 that they shrink to. Anyway, this is that field that has the long rounds. As you can see, it goes all the way to the back. I end up split it into 2. just a little bit of an angle. Seems to prevent loss. Oh, there's our friendly woodchuck. What really surprises me this year is right now we're crossing a giant sand ridge, as you may or not have been able to see with that woodchuck mound back there. This stuff is yellow sand up here. And we had very little rain from July through September. I am amazed there's any beans up here, let alone beans that look like this. So, all I can say is thank you, God, but it is looking good. A lot through the return too. Now I will say I have that, for the most part that's just bean pods, but I've got that part of the sieve or the chaffer wide open. I always like to run that wide open and try to catch everything I can. I also have the bean screen in, and usually just due to volume you'll always see a couple beans come bouncing back through there, but I've walked behind the combine, I do not see any, maybe one or two beans on the ground occasionally, but between the air reel and our settings that we have, I'm very happy. Very pleased. So. This is one of the years where if you had a yield monitor, it'd be interesting. Oh well. usually one of the hardest ones. Right next to that field that we started on. The one that we started on always has ragweed. This one always has mare's tail. See a little bit of splotches of ragweed everywhere. Every now and then, I should say. But still not bad. Holding up nice down there. I think I have that figured out how I'm going to get more RPM. I really think there's enough room on that end to put a 24-inch pulley. I'm probably asking a lot out of one set of pulleys for that kind of ratio, but never said I was an engineer. Another reason there's a lot coming up through that returns, I can just see some of you hardcore Gleaner fanatics out there saying, it should be cleaner than that. I do run that top sieve open a little wider than the book says. And like I said, that's because I got that bean screen in there. And I know if I can get all of the beans down through that top sieve, yeah, there'll be some pods in there, but if I can get it trapped between that top sieve and the bean screen, I've got the beans in the system. The beans are either going to come back through this return, or they're going to continue dropping down through the screen and into the grain tank. Pods themselves, they'll get onto the top of that bean screen and they'll float between the top sieve and the screen itself, because I'm also running my air choke wide open. And I can run a 25-foot head at about 2.5 miles an hour. 3 if I really wanted to push it, but 2.5, everything seems to flow like it should at 2.5. I just like that speed. And we can get a lot done at 2.5, honestly. You can hear it slug every now and then as we go through some of these bigger beans. That's how you know you're right about where you want to be. Still a good healthy sample going in there. There's the old 4430 on our Fandancy grain cart. Nothing too spectacular. I got that the one year that the elevators around here were so backed up in corn that I needed a place just to drop bushels of corn. Had my 2 wagons and that still took time getting stuff in. Now here comes a woodchuck mount. And varmints. This year is dusty out here. Very dusty. I will give this old cab that. Well, if there's dust on the floor, that's mainly from earlier when we were trying to make sure the air reel was working correctly and I had this door open. As long as you keep the doors shut and the air on, it pressurizes pretty nice for a 40-plus-year-old combine. Alright guys, I'm going to basically keep on keeping on.